London pride has been handed down to us. London pride is a flower that's free. London pride means our own dear town to us, and our pride it forever will be. Whoa, Liza, see the Costa barrows, the vegetable marrows, and the fruit piled high. Oh, Liza, little London sparrows, Covent Garden Market where the costers cry. Cockney feet mark the beat of history. Every street pins a memory down. Nothing ever can quite replace the grace of London town.
Getting chilled to the bone! What has Freddie been doing all this time? He's been gone 20 minutes!
Well, not quite so long as that, dear, but he really ought to have got us a cab by this.
He won't get no cab. Not until 11:30, missus, when they come back after dropping their theatre fares.
But we must have a cab. We can't stay here until 11:30. Oh, it's too bad.
Well, it ain't my fault, missus.
If Freddie had a bit of gumption, he would have got one at the theatre door.
What could he have done, poor boy?
Other people got cabs, but couldn't he? Well, haven't you got a cab?
There wasn't one to be had, for love or money.
Oh, Freddie, there must be one. You can't have tried.
It's too tiresome. Do you expect us to go and get one ourselves?
I tell you, they were all engaged. The rain was so sudden, nobody expected it, and everybody had to take a cab. I've been to Charing Cross one way and nearly Ludgate Circus the other, and they were all engaged.
Did you try Trafalgar Square?
There wasn't one at Trafalgar Square.
But did you try?
I tried as far as Charing Cross Station. Did you expect me to walk to Hammersmith?
Oh, you haven't tried at all.
Oh, Freddie, you really are very helpless. Now go out again and don't come back until you've found us a cab.
I shall simply get soaked for nothing.
And what about us? Do you expect us to stand out here in this drought all night with next to nothing on? You selfish pig.
Oh, very well. I go.
Now then, Freddie, look where you've gone, dear.
I'm sorry.
Now there's manners for you. 10 old bunches of violets all dropped in the mud.
How did you know that my son's name was Freddie, pray?
Oh, is your son, is he? Well, if you done your duty as a mother should, he would know better to spoil poor girl's flowers and go without paying. Will you pay me for it?
Do nothing of the sort, Mother, the idea.
Please allow me, Clara. Have you any pennies?
No, nothing smaller than 6pence.
I can give you change for a tanner, kind lady.
Give it to me. That's for your flowers.
Oh, thank you, lady.
Make her give you the change, Mother. Those things are only a penny a bunch.
Please hold your tongue, Clara. You may keep the change.
Oh, thank you, lady.
Now tell me, how did you know that young gentleman's name?
I didn't.
But I heard you call him by it just now. Don't try to deceive me.
Who's trying to deceive you? I called him Freddie O'Shire the same as you would if you was talking to a stranger and wished to be pleasant.
6pence thrown away. Really, Mamma, you might have spared Freddie that.
Oh, sir, is there any sign of it stopping?
Oh, I'm afraid not. It started worse than ever about 2 minutes ago.
Dear me.
If it's worse, it's sign it's nearly over. So cheer up, Captain. And here, buy a flower for full girl.
Sorry, I haven't any change.
I can give you change, Captain.
For a sovereign, I've nothing less.
God. Oh, do buy a flower for me, Captain. I can charge up the crown.
No,
Here, take this for tuppence.
No, don't be troublesome. There's a good girl. I really haven't... Oh, stop. Here's 3 halfpence, if that's any use to you.
Thank you, sir.
You be careful. Give him a flower for it. There's a bloke here behind taking down every blessed word you're saying.
Ugh. I did nothing wrong by speaking to the gentleman. I have a right to sell flowers to keep off the curb. I'm a respectable girl, so help me. I never asked him nothing except to buy a flower off me. Oh, sir, don't let him tell me for something like that. You don't know what they'll do to me. They'll take away my character and drive down the streets.
There. What's the matter? Who's hurting you, you silly girl?
It's all right. He's a gentleman. Look at his boots. Look at his boots. She thought he was a copper's knock, sir.
What's a copper's knock?
It's a copper's knock, as you might say. What else would you call it? A sort of informer.
I take my Bible oath. I never said a word.
Oh, shut up, shut up. Do I look like a policeman?
Then what you take me down my words for? How do I know whether you took me down right? You just show me what you wrote about me. What's that? That ain't Papa Ryan. I can't read that.
Oh, I can. Cheer up, Captain, and boil flour off a poor gal.
Oh, it's because I called him Captain. I might know on. Oh, sir, don't let him charge me for something like that.
Charge? I make no charge. Really, sir, if you are a detective, you need not begin protecting me against molestation by young women until I ask you. Anyone could see the girl meant no harm.
He ain't a tech. He's a bloomin' busybody, that's what he is. I tell you, look at his boots.
And how are all your people down in Southie?
Who told you my people come from Southie?
Never you mind. They did. How do you come to be up so far east? You were born in Listen Grove.
Oh, what's that arm in me leaving Listen Grove? It wasn't fit for a pig to live in, and I had to pay 4 and 6 a week.
Oh, live where you like. Just stop that sniveling.
Come, he can't touch you. You may live wherever you please.
Park Lane, for instance. I'd like to go into the house in question with you, I would.
I'm a good girl, I am.
Tell me, where do I come from?
Hoxton.
Well, and you said that I didn't. Blimey, but you're a clever one, aren't you?
He ain't no right to meddle with me, he ain't.
Of course he ain't. Don't you stand it from him. See here, what call have you to know about people what never offered to meddle with you? Where's your warrant?
Let him say what he likes. I don't want to have no trouble with them.
You take us for dirt under your feet, don't you? Catch you taking liberties with a gentleman?
Yes. Tell us where this gentleman comes from, if you mean to play at fortune-telling.
Cheltenham, Harrow, Cambridge, and India.
Quite right. May I ask, sir, do you do this for your living at a music hall?
I've thought of that. Perhaps I shall someday.
He's no gentleman, he ain't to interfere with a poor girl.
What on earth is Freddie doing? She'll catch pneumonia if I stay in this draft any longer.
Earl's Court.
Will you please keep your impertinent remarks to yourself?
Oh, did I say that out loud? I didn't mean to, I'm sorry. Your mother's Epsom, unmistakably.
How very curious. I was brought up in Lodge Lady Park, near Epsom.
What a devil of a name. Excuse me. You want a cab, do you?
Don't dare speak to me.
Clara, please. Please. We should be so grateful to you, sir, if you could find us a cab. Oh, thank you. Oh, there! I knew he was a plainclothes copper.
That ain't a police whistle, that's a sporting whistle.
He no right to take away my character. My character is the same to me as any ladies.
I don't know whether you've noticed. The rain has stopped.
So it has. Why didn't you say so before? And us losing our time listening to your silliness.
I know where you come from, I do. You come from Anwell. Do go back there.
Hanwell.
Oh, thank you, teacher. Ha ha. So long.
Funny people like that. How he like them stuff.
It's quite fine now, Clara. We can walk to the motor bus.
But the cab! Oh, it's too tiresome.
Poor girl. Hard enough with her without being buried and shivered.
How do you do it, may I ask?
Simple phonetics, the science of speech. That is my profession, also my hobby. Happy is the man who can make a living by his hobby. You can spot a Yorkshireman or an Irishman by his brogue. I can place any man within 6 miles. I can place him within 2 miles in London, sometimes within 2 streets.
Ought to be ashamed of himself, unmanly coward.
But is there a living in that?
Oh yes, a very fat one. Men begin in Kentish Town with £80 a year and end up in Park Lane with 100,000. They want to drop Kentish Town, but they give themselves away every time they open their mouths. Now, I can teach them.
Let him say what he likes and leave a poor girl.
Woman, cease this detestable boo-hooing instantly, or else seek the shelter of some other place of worship.
I have a right to be if I like, same as you.
A woman who utters such depressing and disgusting sounds has no right to be anywhere, no right to live. Remember that your native language is the language of Shakespeare and Milton and the Bible. And don't sit there crooning like a bilious pigeon.
Oh!
Heavens! What a sound! Oh!
Gone.
You see this creature with her curbstone English that will keep her in the gutter to the end of her days. Well, sir, in 3 months I could pass her off as a duchess at an ambassador's garden party. I could even get her a place as lady's maid or shop assistant, which requires better English. That's the sort of work I do for commercial millionaires, and on the profits of it, I do genuine scientific work in phonetics as well as a little poetry along Miltonic lines.
I am myself a student of Indian dialects.
Are you? Do you know Colonel Pickering, the author of Spoken Sanskrit?
I am Colonel Pickering. Who are you?
I'm Henry Higgins, author of Higgins' Universal Alphabet.
I came from India to meet you.
I was going to India to meet you.
Where do you live?
At 27A Wimpole Street. Come and see me tomorrow.
I'm at the Carlton. Come with me now and let's have a job or some supper.
Right you are.
Right.
5 glasses, gentlemen. I'm short for me lodging.
I'm sorry, I really haven't any change.
Liar. You said you could change half a crown.
You ought to be stuck with nails, you ought. Take the blooming basket for 6pence. Oh! Oh!
I've got one at last. Hello? Where are the 2 ladies that were here?
They walked to a motor bus as soon as the rain stopped.
And left me with a cab in my hands? Damnation!
Never you mind, young man. I'm going home in a taxi. 18 pence, no trouble for me, Charlie. Angel Court, Drury Lane, round the corner of Nibble John's oil shop. Let's see how fast you can make her open.
Well, I'm dashed.
Well, I think that's the whole show.
I really haven't taken half of it in. It's quite amazing.
Is there anything you'd like to go over again?
No, thank you, not now. I'm quite done up for this morning.
Tired of listening to sounds?
Yes, it's a fearful strain. I rather fancied myself because I can pronounce 24 distinct vowel sounds, but your 130 beat me. I can't hear a bit of difference between most of them.
That comes with practice. You hear no difference at first, but you keep on listening, and presently you find they're all as different as A from B. What is it, Mrs. Pierce?
A young woman wants to see you, sir.
A young woman? What does she want?
Well, sir, she says you'll be glad to see her when you learn what she's come about. She's quite a common girl, sir. Very common indeed. I should have sent her away, only I thought perhaps you might wish to have her speak in one of your machines. I hope I've not done wrong, sir, but really, you see such queer people sometimes.
Oh, that's all right, Mrs. Pierce. Has she an interesting accent?
Oh, something dreadful, sir. I really don't see how you can take an interest in it.
Let's have her up. Show her up, Mrs. Pierce.
Very well, sir. It's for you to say.
This is rather a stroke of luck. I'll show you how I make records. We'll set it talking, and I'll take it down, first in Bell's visible speech, and then in broad Romic, and then we'll get it down on the phonograph so that you can turn her on as often as you like with the written transcript before you.
This is the young woman, sir.
Why, this is the girl I jotted down last night. She's no good. I have all the records I want of the Listen Grove lingo, and I'm not going to waste another cylinder on it. Be off with you, I don't want you.
Don't you be so saucy. Yeah, I'd why I come for you. Didn't you tell him I come in a taxi?
Nonsense, girl. What do you think a gentleman like Mr. Higgins cares what you came in?
Oh, we are proud. We ain't above giving me lessons. Not him. I had him say so myself. Well, I had to come here for any comment. And if my money's not good enough, I can go elsewhere.
Good enough for what?
Good enough for you. Ah, now you know, don't you? I've come to have lessons, I am, and to pay for them too. Make no mistake.
Well, what do you expect me to say to you?
Well, if he was a gentleman, I think you asked me to sit down, I think. Don't I tell you I'm bringing you business?
Pickering, shall we ask this baggage to sit down, or shall we throw her out the window?
Oh! I'll be called a baggage, I'm willing to pay like any lady.
What is it you want, my girl?
I want to be a lady in a flower shop. It's only selling at the corner of Toncourt Road, but they won't take me unless I can talk more genteel. He said he could teach me. Well, I am ready to pay, not asking for any favor. And he treats me as if I was dirt.
How can you be such a foolish, ignorant girl as to think you can afford Mr. Higgins?
Why shouldn't I? I know how much lessons cost as well as you do, and I'm ready to pay.
How much?
Ah, now you're talking. I thought you'd come off it when you saw your chance to get back where you chucked at me last night. You had to drop it, hadn't you?
Sit down.
Oh, if you'll make a comment of it.
Sit down.
Sit down, girl. Do as you're told.
Won't you sit down?
Oh, don't mind if I do.
Loudness, everybody.
What's your name?
Eliza Doolittle.
Eliza, Elizabeth, Betsy, and Bess. They went to the woods to get a bird's nest.
They found a nest with 4 eggs in it.
They took one apiece and left 3 in it.
Oh, don't be silly.
You mustn't talk to the gentleman like that.
Why don't you talk sensible to me?
Return to business. How much do you prepare to pay for lessons?
Oh, I know it's right. A lady friend of mine gets French lessons from a real French gentleman for 18 pence an hour. Well, you wouldn't have the face to ask me that much if you was teaching me my own language instead of French. So, I will give you more than a shilling. Take it or leave it.
You know, Pickering, if you consider a shilling not as a simple shilling, but as a percentage of this girl's income, it works out as fully equivalent to 60 or 70 guineas from a millionaire.
How so?
Figure it out. The millionaire has about £150 a day. She earns about half a crown.
Who told
She
you, honey?
offers me 2/3 of her day's income for a lesson. 2/3 of a millionaire's income a day is about £60. It's handsome. By George, it's enormous. It's the biggest offer I ever had.
£60? What are you talking about? I got £60, but where did I get any?
Hold your tongue.
But I got £60.
Don't be silly, you foolish girl. Sit down. Nobody is going to touch your money.
Somebody is going to touch you with a broomstick if you don't stop sniveling.
Oh, one would think he was my father.
If I decide to teach you, I'll be worse than 2 fathers to you.
Oh!
Here,
What's this for?
to wipe your eyes. To wipe any part of your face that feels moist. Remember, that's your handkerchief, and that's your sleeve. Don't mistake the one for the other if you wish to become a lady in a shop.
It's no use talking to her like that, sir. She doesn't understand you. Besides, you're quite wrong. She doesn't do it that way at all.
What the? There! Give that to me! He gave it to me, not to you!
He did, Mrs. Pierce. I think it must be regarded as her property.
Oh, serve you right, Mr. Higgins.
Higgins, I'm interested. What about the ambassador's garden party? I'll say you're the greatest teacher alive if you can make that good. I'll bet you all the expenses of the experiment you can't do it, and I'll pay for the lesson.
Thank you, Captain.
It's almost irresistible. She's so deliciously low, so horribly dirty.
Ow! I ain't dirty.
You certainly won't turn her head with flattery, Higgins.
Oh, don't say that, sir. There is more than one way of turning a girl's head, and nobody can do it better than Mr. Higgins. Though he may not always mean it, I do hope, sir, that you won't encourage him to do anything foolish.
After all, what is life but a series of inspired follies? Difficulty is finding them to do. Never miss a chance. It doesn't come every day. I shall make a duchess of this draggle-tailed gutter snipe.
Ow!
Yes, in 6 months, in 3 if she has a good ear and a quick tongue, I'll take her anywhere and pass her off as anything. We'll start today. Now, this moment. Take her away and clean her, Mrs. Pierce. Monkey brand, if it won't come off any other way. Is there a good fire in the kitchen?
Yes, but...
Take off all the clothes and burn them.
Oh!
Bring up widely so somebody for new ones. Wrap her up in brown paper till they get here.
You're no gentleman, you are, talking such things. I'm a good girl, I am. I know the likes of you or I do.
We want none of your listen grave prudery here, young woman. You've got to learn to behave like a duchess. Take her away and clean her, Mrs. Pierce. If she gives you any trouble, wallop her.
No! I'll call the police, I will.
But I've no place to put her.
Put her in the dustbin.
Oh, come, Higgins, be reasonable.
You must be reasonable, Mr. Higgins. Really, you must. You can't just pick up a girl like this as if she was a pebble on the beach.
Why not?
Why not? Because you don't know anything about her. What about her parents? She may be married.
Gone.
There. As the girl very properly says, gone. Married indeed. Dad, you know that a woman of that class looks a worn-out drudge of 50 a year after she's married.
Who'll marry me?
By George, Eliza, the streets will be strewn with the bodies of men shooting themselves for your sake before I'm through with you.
Nonsense, Mr. Higgins. You mustn't talk like that to her.
I'm going. He's all this chump he is. I'd want to know Bobby's teaching me.
Oh, indeed? Mad, am I? Very well, Mrs. Pierce, you needn't order the new clothes after all. Throw her out.
No, you got no right to touch me.
You see now what comes of being saucy. This way, please.
I didn't want no clothes. I wouldn't have worn them anyway. I could buy my own clothes.
You're an ungrateful, wicked girl. So this is my return for offering to take you out of the gutter and dress you beautifully and make a lady out of you.
Go home to your parents and tell them to take better care of you.
I ain't got no parents. They told me I was old enough to make my own living and turned me out.
Where's your mother?
I ain't got no mother. The one who turned me out was my sick stepmother. But I don't well enough without them. And I'm a good girl, I am.
Very well. And what on earth is all this fuss about? The girl doesn't belong to anybody. It's of no use to anyone but me. You can adopt her, Mrs. Pierce. I'm sure a daughter would be a great amusement to you. Now don't make any more fuss. Take her downstairs and...
But what is to become of her? Is she to be paid anything? And... really, sir, you must be sensible.
Put it down in the housekeeping book. Pay her whatever is necessary. What will she want with money anyway? She'll have her food and her clothes. She'll only drink if you give her money.
You're a great brute, you are. It's a lie. No one ever saw the side of liquor on me.
Does it occur to you, Higgins, that the girl has some feelings?
Oh, no. I think not. Not any feelings that we need bother about. Have you, Eliza?
I've got my own feelings, the same as anyone else.
You see the difficulty.
What difficulty?
To get her to talk grammar. The mere pronunciation is easy enough.
I don't want to talk grammar. I want to talk like a lady.
Will you please keep to the point, Mr. Higgins? I want to know on what terms the girl is to be here. Is she to have any wages? And what is to become of her when you've finished your experiment in teaching?
What's to become of her if I leave her in the gutter? Tell me that, Mrs. Pierce.
That's her business, sir, and none of yours.
Well, when I'm finished with her, we can throw her back into the gutter, and then it will be her own business again, so that's all right.
You've got no feeling hot in you. You don't care for anyone but yourself. I'm going. I've had enough of this. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, you ought.
Eliza! What? Have some chocolates.
Oh.
You shall have boxes, barrels of them every day. You shall live on them. Eh?
Well, we're not taking it. Only until they'd like to take it out of my mouth.
Listen, Eliza, I think you said you came in a taxi.
Well, what if I did? I have a right to take a taxi the same as anyone else.
You have, Eliza. And in future, you shall have as many taxis as you like. You shall go up and down and round the town every day in a taxi. Think of that, Eliza.
Stop, Mr. Higgins. You're tempting the girl. She must think of the future.
The future? At her age? Nonsense. Time enough to think of the future when you haven't got any future to think of. No, Eliza. Do as this woman does. Think of other people's futures, but never your own. Think of chocolates and taxis and gold and diamonds.
No. No. I don't want no gold, no diamonds. I'm a good girl, I am.
And you shall remain so under the care of Mrs. Pierce. And you shall marry an officer of the guards with a beautiful mustache, the son of a marquis, who will disinherit him for marrying you, but will relent, of course, when he sees your beauty.
Excuse me, Higgins, but I really must interfere. Mrs. Pierce is quite right. If this girl is to put herself in your hands for 6 months for an experiment in teaching, she must thoroughly understand what she's doing.
But how can she? She's incapable of understanding anything. Besides, does any of us really understand what we are doing? If we did, would we ever really do it?
Quite clever, Higgins, but not sound sense. Miss Dooley.
Ah! There! That's all you get out of Eliza. Oh! No use explaining things to her. As a military man, you ought to know that. Give her orders, that's what she wants. Eliza, for the next 6 months, you are to live here learning how to speak beautifully like a lady in a flower shop. If you are good and do everything you are told, you shall sleep in a proper bedroom and have lots to eat and money to buy chocolates and take rides in taxis. If you are naughty and idle, you shall sleep in the back kitchen among the black beetles and be woke by Mrs. Pierce with a broomstick. At the end of 6 months, you shall go to Buckingham Palace in a carriage, beautifully dressed. If the king finds out you are not a lady, you will be taken by the police to the Tower of London, where your head will be cut off as a warning to other presumptuous flower girls. If you are not found out, you will have a present of 7 and 6pence to start life with as a lady in a shop. If you refuse this offer, you shall be a most ungrateful and wicked girl, and the angels will weep for you. Are you satisfied now, Pickering? Can I put it any more plainly and fairly, Mrs. Pierce?
I think you'd better let me speak to the girl properly. In private? Of course, I know you don't mean her any harm, but, sir, when you get what you call interested in people's accents, you never think or care what may happen to them. Or you. Come with me, Eliza.
That's all right, thank you, Mrs. Pierce. Bundle her off to the bathroom.
You're a great bull, you are. I won't stay here if I don't like it. I don't let nobody want me. I never asked to go to Buckingham Palace, I didn't. I was never told police. Not me. I'm a good girl.
Talk back to the gentleman. You just don't understand that. Come with me, please.
Well, what I say is right. I won't go near the king if I got my head cut off. If I knew it was in for, I would have come here!
Excuse the straight question, Higgins. Are you a man of good character where women are concerned?
Have you ever known a man of good character where women are concerned?
Yes, very frequently.
Well, I haven't. I find that as soon as I let a woman make friends with me, she becomes jealous, exacting, suspicious, and a damned nuisance. I find that as soon as I let myself make friends with a woman, I become selfish and tyrannical.
Bloody hell!
Women upset everything. When you let them into your life, you find the woman is driving at one thing and you're driving at another.
At what, for example?
Oh, Lord knows. I suppose the woman wants to live her own life and the man wants to live his. And each keeps trying to drag the other onto the wrong track. One wants to go north and the other south, and consequently both have to go east, though both hate the east wind. So, here I am, a confirmed bachelor, and likely to remain so.
No, come, Higgins, you know what I mean. If I'm to be involved in this business, I shall feel responsible for that girl. I hope it's understood that no advantage is to be taken of her position.
What? That thing? Sacred, I assure you. You see, she'll be a pupil, and teaching would be impossible if pupils were not sacred. I taught scores of American millionairesses how to speak English, the most beautiful women in the world. I'm seasoned. They might as well be blocks of wood. I might as well be a block of wood. It's... Yes, Mrs. Pierce, is it all right?
Yes, sir. If I may trouble you for a word.
Certainly. Come in. Don't burn that, Mrs. Pierce. I shall keep it as a curiosity.
Handle it carefully, please, sir. I had to promise her I'd not burn it, but I think I'd best put it in the oven for a bit.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Pierce. Well, what have you to say to me?
Shall I leave?
Not at all, sir. Not at all. Mr. Higgins, will you please be very particular what you say in front of the girl?
Of course. I am always particular about what I say. Why do you say this to me?
No, sir, you're not at all particular about what you say when you've mislaid something or if you get a bit impatient. Now, I don't mind it. I'm quite used to it. But really, you must not swear before the girl.
I swear? I never swear. I detest the habit. What the devil do you mean?
That's what I mean, sir. You swear a great deal too much. Now, of course, I don't mind all your damning and blasting and what the devil and who the devil and where the devil.
Really, Mrs. Pierce, this language from your lips.
But there is one word that I must insist you not use in front of the girl. The girl has just used it herself because the bath water was too hot. It begins with the same letter as bath. She knows no better. She learnt it at her mother's knee. But she must not hear it from your lips.
I cannot charge myself with having ever uttered it, Mrs. Pierce. Except perhaps in a moment of extreme and justifiable excitement.
Only this morning, sir, I heard you apply it to your boots, to the butter, and to the brown bread.
Oh, that. Mere alliteration, Mrs. Pierce, natural in a parrot.
Well, sir, whatever you choose to call it, I must beg you not to use the word in front of the girl.
Oh, very well, very well. Is that all?
No, sir. We shall have to be very particular with the girl in regard to personal cleanliness.
Just so. Quite right, certainly.
By that I mean, sir, that she mustn't be slovenly in her dress or untidy in leaving things about.
Precisely. I intended to call your attention to that. It is these little things that matter, Pickering. Take care of the pence and the pounds will take care of themselves is as true of personal habits as it is of money.
Yes, sir. Then might I ask that you not come down to breakfast in your dressing gown? Or at any rate, not use it as a napkin to the extent that you do? And if you would be so good as to not eat everything off of the same plate, and remember not to put the porridge saucepan out of your hand onto the clean tablecloth, it would be a much better example for the girl. You know you nearly choked yourself with a fishbone in the jam only last week.
I may do these things occasionally out of absence of mind, but surely I don't do them habitually. By the way, my dressing gown smells most damnably of benzene.
No doubt it does, sir, but if you would be so good as to wipe your
Oh,
fingers...
very well, very well. I shall wipe them in my hair in future.
I hope you're not offended, Mr. Higgins.
Not at all. Not at all. I shall be particularly careful before the girl. Is that all?
No, sir. Might she borrow some of those Japanese dresses you brought from abroad? I really can't put her back into her old things.
Certainly. Whatever you like. Is that all?
Thank you, sir. That's all.
You know, Pickering, that woman really has the most extraordinary ideas about me. I mean, here I am, a shy, diffident sort of fellow. Never been able to feel really grown up and tremendous like other chaps. Yet she's firmly persuaded that I'm an arbitrary, overbearing, bossing sort of person. I can't account for it.
If you please, sir, the trouble's beginning already. There's a dustman downstairs, and Alfred Doolittle wants to see you. He says you have his daughter here.
Phew, I say.
Send the blackguard up.
Oh, very well, sir.
He may not be a blackguard, Higgins.
Nonsense. Of course he's a blackguard.
Well, whether he is or not, I fear we may have some trouble with him.
Oh, no, I think not. If there's to be any trouble, he shall have it with me, not I with him. And we're sure to get something interesting out of him.
About the girl?
No, I mean his dialect.
Oh.
Doolittle, sir.
Professor Higgins?
Here. Good morning. Sit down.
Good morning, Governor. I come about a very serious matter, Governor.
Brought up in Hounslow. Rather Welsh, I should think. What is it you want, Doolittle?
I want me daughter. See, that's what I want.
Of course you do. You're her father, aren't you? You don't suppose anyone else wants her, do you? I'm glad to see you have some spark of family feeling left. She's upstairs. Take her away at once.
What?
Take her away. Do you suppose I'm going to keep your daughter for you?
Now, is this fair? Is this reasonable to take advantage of a man like this? The girl belongs to me. You got her. Where do I come in?
Your daughter had the audacity to come to my house and ask me to teach her how to speak properly so that she could get a place in a flower shop. This gentleman and my housekeeper have been here the whole time. How dare you come here and attempt to blackmail me? You sent her here on purpose.
No, Governor.
You must have. How else could you possibly know she was here?
Don't take a man up like that, Governor.
The police shall take you up. This is a plot to extort money by threats. I shall telephone the police.
Have I asked you for a brass farthing? I put it to the gentleman here. Have I said a single word about money?
What else did you come for?
What else would a man come for? Be human, Governor.
Alfred, did you put her up to it?
So help me, I never did. I give me Bible oath I ain't seen the girl these 2 months past.
Then how did you know she was here?
I'll tell you, Governor. I'm willing to tell you. I'm wanting to tell you. I'm waiting to tell you.
Pickering, this This fellow has a certain natural gift of rhetoric. Observe his native wood notes wild. I'm willing to tell you. I'm wanting to tell you. I'm waiting to tell you. Sentimental rhetoric. That's the Welsh strain in him. It also accounts for his dishonesty and mendacity.
Oh, please, Higgins, I'm West Country myself. How did you know the girl was here if you didn't send her?
It's like this, Governor. The girl took a boy a ride in a cab to give him a jaunt, and he hung around on the chance that she would give him another ride back home. Well, she sent him to pick up her luggage when she found out he was willing for her to stay here. And I met the boy at the corner of Longacre and Endell Streets.
Public house, yes?
Poor man's club, Governor, why shouldn't I?
Do let him tell his story, Higgins.
So, the boy tells me what's up. And I ask you, what's my duty and what's my feeling as a father? I says to the boy, you bring me the luggage, I says.
Why didn't you go for it yourself?
Landlady wouldn't have trusted me with it, Governor. That's the kind of lady she is. I had to give the boy a penny before he'd trust me with it, the little swine. And I only brought it here to oblige you and to make myself agreeable, that's all.
How much luggage?
Musical instrument, Governor, a few pictures, trifling of jewellery, a bird cage. Now, she said she didn't want any clothes. And I ask you, what was I to think? As a parent, I ask you, what was I to think?
Ah, so you came to save her from a fate worse than death, eh?
Just so, Governor, that's right.
Why did you bring her luggage if you intended to take her away?
Have I said a word about taking her away now, have I?
You're going to take her away double quick.
Look, I'm not that sort of guy to stand in my girl's light. It was a career opening for her, as you might say.
Mrs. Pierce, this is Eliza's father. He's come to take her away. Bring her to him.
No, listen, this is a misunderstanding.
I can't bring her to him, sir. He can't. How can he take her away? You told me to burn her clothes.
That's right. I can't take the girl down the street like a blooming monkey now, can I? I put it to you.
You have put it to me that you want your daughter. Take your daughter. If she has no clothes, get out and buy her some.
And what happened to the clothes she come in? Did I burn them or did you make them?
I am the housekeeper. Thank you very much. I've sent for some new clothes for your girl. When they come, you can take her away. Until then, you can wait in the kitchen. This way, please.
Now, listen, Governor, you mean men of the world, ain't we?
Yeah, men of the world, are we? You'd better go, Mrs. Pierce.
I think so indeed.
The floor is yours, Doolittle.
Thank you, Governor. You see, it's like this. Truth is, I've taken a sort of fondness to you, Governor. And, well, you wouldn't expect me to let the girl go for nothing, right? So if you're keen on having the girl, I'm not so eager as having her own back home. See, taken in the light of a young lady, she's a right handsome girl. As a daughter, she's not worth the keep, I can tell you that straight. All I ask for is me rights as a father. And I can tell you're the last man alive who'd have expected to let me go for nothing, because you're the state so, Governor, I can tell that. So I ask you, what's £5 to you, and what's Eliza to me?
I think you ought to know, Doolittle, that Mr. Higgins's intentions are entirely honourable.
Of course they are, Governor. If I thought there wasn't, I'd ask 50.
Do you mean to say, you callous rascal, that you would sell your daughter for £50?
Not in a general way, I wouldn't, but to oblige a gentleman like you, I'd do a good deal, I do assure you.
Have you no morals, man?
Can't afford them, Governor. Neither could you if you was as poor as me. Now, it's not that I mean any harm by it, it's just if Eliza's going to get a bit out of this, why shouldn't I too?
Pickering, I don't know what to do. There can be no question that as a matter of morals, it's a positive crime to give this chap a farthing. And yet, I feel a sort of rough justice in his claim.
That's it, Governor. Just so, a father's heart, as it were.
Well, I know the feeling, but really, it seems hardly right.
Don't look at it that way, Governor. I ask you, governors both, I ask you, what am I? I'm one of the undeserving poor. Think of what that means for a minute. It means it's always up against middle-class morality. Anytime there's something going on, I put in for a bit, if it's always the same story. No, you're undeserving, you can't have it. Well, my needs ain't any less than the most deserving widow that's got money out of 6 different charities in the same week for the death of the same husband. My needs ain't any less than that of a deserving man. They're more. I don't eat any less hearty than him, and I drink a lot more. Well, and they charge me the same for all of this as they do a deserving man. I want a bit of amusement, because I'm a thinking man. I want cheerfulness in the song and the band when I feel low. What is middle-class morality? Just an excuse for never giving me anything. And therefore I ask you two gentlemen not to play that game with me. I'm being straight with you. I ain't pretending to be deserving. I am undeserving. And I mean to go on being undeserving. I like it, and that's the truth. So, I ask you, is it right to do a man out of the price of his own daughter, what you brought up and raised and fed and clothed by the sweat of his brow till she's grown up enough to be interesting to you two gentlemen? Is £5 unreasonable? I put it to you, and I leave it to you.
Pickering, we took this chap in hand for 3 months. He could choose between a seat in the cabinet and a popular pulpit in Wales.
What do you say to that, Doolittle?
No, thank you kindly, Governor. I've heard all the priests and all the prime ministers, for I'm a thinking man, and a game for politics or social reform or religion is the same as all the others. Let me tell you, it's a dog's life any way you look at it. Taking one role in society with another, undeserving poverty is the only one that's got any ginger in it to my taste.
I suppose we must give him a fiver.
He'll make a bad use of it, I'm afraid.
So well, Governor, don't say that. Don't you be afraid that I'll put it by and spare it and live idle on it. Won't pauperize me, you bet. There won't be a single penny of it left by Monday. I have to go to work as if I never had it. Just one good spree for me and the missus, bringing pleasure to ourselves, employment to others, and satisfaction to you to know it ain't been thrown away.
Oh, this is too good. Let's give him 10.
No, thank you, Governor. She shouldn't have the art to spend 10, and perhaps neither should I either. £10 is a lot of money. Makes the man sort of prudent-like, and then goodbye to happiness. Now, you give me what I asked for, Governor, not a penny more and not a penny less.
Why don't you marry that missus of yours? I'd rather draw the line at encouraging that sort of immorality.
Tell her so, Governor, tell her so. Unwilling, it's me that suffers by it. I've got no hold on her. I've got to be agreeable to her. I've got to buy her clothes, something simple. I've got to buy her presents. All because I ain't a legal husband. I'm a slave to that woman, Governor, and she knows it too. Catch her marrying me. Now, take my advice, though, Governor. Marry Eliza while she's young and don't know no better. You'll regret it after if you don't. She'll regret it after if you do, but better you than her because you're a man and she's only a woman and don't know how to be happy anyhow.
Pickering, if we listen to this chap another minute, we shall have no convictions left. £5, I think you said.
Yes, thank you kindly, Governor.
Sure you won't take 10?
Not this time, Governor, another time.
Here you are.
Thank you, thank you. Good morning, Governor. Excuse me, miss.
God, don't you know your own daughter?
Blimey,
What's that? What's this?
Yo!
Don't I look silly?
Silly?
Please, Mr. Higgins, don't say anything to make the girl conceited about herself.
Oh, quite right, Mrs. Pierce. Yes, damned silly.
Mr. Higgins.
I mean, extremely silly.
I would look alright if I still had my hat.
A new fashion, by George. And it ought to look horrible.
Well, I never thought she'd clean up that good looking. She's a credit to me, ain't she, Governor?
I'll tell ya, it's easy to clean up here. Hot cold one tap as much as you like. Woolly towels. And a towel horse so hot it burns your fingers. Lots of brushes to scrub yourself with. And a wooden bowl full of soap that smells like primroses. Now I know why ladies are so clean. Washing's a treat for them, it is.
I'm glad the bathroom met with your approval.
It didn't. Not all of it. And I don't care who hears me say it. Mrs. Pierce knows.
What was wrong, Mrs. Pierce?
Oh, nothing, sir. It doesn't matter.
I had a good mind to break it, I did. I don't know which way to look, but I had a towel, but I did.
Over what?
Over the looking glass, sir.
Dear little, you have brought up your daughter too strictly.
Not me. I never brought her up at all, except to give her a lick of the strap now and again. Don't you put it on me, Governor. She's just ain't accustomed to it, that's all. But she'll soon pick up your free and easy ways.
I won't pick up no free and easy ways. I'm a good girl, I am.
Eliza, if you say again that you're a good girl, your father shall take you home.
Not him. You don't know him like I do. All he come here for is to get some money to get drunk off.
Oh, what else would I want money for? To put in a plate at church, I suppose.
Eh.
Don't you give me none of your lip. And don't let me hear about you giving this gentleman any of your lip either. You'll hear it from me, see?
Do you have any further advice to give your daughter before you go, Doolittle? Your blessing, for example.
Not me. I ain't such a mug as to put my kids up to all I know myself, so enough to keep them in as it is. No, if you want Liza's mind improved, you do it yourself. A strap. So long, gentlemen.
Stop! You'll come visit your daughter regularly. It's your duty, you know. My brother is a clergyman, and he can help you in your talks with her.
Certainly, Governor. Not just this week, as I have a job at a distance, but later on, you may depend upon me. Afternoon, sir. Afternoon, Mum.
Don't believe the old liar. He as soon as you set a bulldog on him as a clergyman. You won't see him again in a hurry.
I don't want to, Eliza. Do you?
Not me. I don't ever want to see him again, I don't. He's a disgrace to me, he is. Collecting dust instead of working at his trade.
What is his trade, Eliza?
Talking money out of other people's pockets into his own. His proper trade's a nobby, and he works at it sometimes too for exercise, and it's good money at it. And you shouldn't call me Miss Doolittle anymore.
It was a slip of the tongue. Miss Doolittle, I beg your pardon.
Oh, I don't mind. Only sounds so genteel. You know what? I should like to take a taxi to the corner of Time Code Road, only to get out and tell it to wait for me, just so I can put the girls in their place a bit. Though I won't speak to them, you know.
Better wait till we find you something really fashionable.
Besides, you shouldn't cut your old friends now that you've risen in the world. That's what we call snobbery.
You don't call the likes of them my friends, I should hope. They took it out on me often enough with their ridicule, and now I'm at to get some of my own back. But if I am to have fashionable clothes, oh wait. I should like to have some. Mrs. Pierce says you're going to give me something different to wear at night instead of what I usually wear during the daytime. Although, I do think it's a bit of a waste of money when we can use it to get something to show. Besides, I never could fancy to change into cold things on a winter night.
Now, Eliza, the new things have arrived for you to try on.
Oh!
Oh, don't rush about like that, girl.
Pickering, you've taken on a stiff job.
Higgins we have.
Henry, what are you doing here today? It is my at-home day. You promised not to come.
Oh, bother.
Go home at once.
I know, Mother. I came on purpose.
But you mustn't. I'm serious, dear. You offend all my friends. They stop coming whenever they meet you.
Oh, nonsense. I know I have no small talk, but people don't mind.
Oh, don't they? Small talk indeed. What about your large talk? Really, dear, you mustn't stay.
I must. I have a job for you, Mother. A phonetic job.
It's no use. I can't get round your vowels, and though I love to get pretty postcards in your patent shorthand, I have to read the copies in ordinary writing that you so thoughtfully send me.
This isn't a phonetic job.
I thought you said it was.
Well, not your part of it. You see, I picked up a girl.
Oh, you mean a girl has picked you up?
Not at all. I don't mean a love affair.
Oh, what a pity.
Why?
Well, you never fall in love with anyone under 45. When will you realize that there are some nice-looking young women about?
Oh, I can't be bothered with young women. My idea of a lovable woman is something as like you as possible. Now, I shall never get in the way of seriously liking younger women. Some habits lie too deep to be changed. Besides, they're all idiots.
Do you know what you would do if you really loved me, Henry?
Oh, bother. What?
Stop
Marry me.
fidgeting and sit down. That's a good boy. Now, tell me about the girl.
She's coming to see you.
I don't recall asking her.
You didn't. I asked her. If you had known her, you wouldn't have asked her.
Indeed. Why?
Well, see, it's like this. She's a common flower girl. I picked her up off the curbstone.
And invited her to my at-home?
Oh, she'll be all right, Mother. Don't you fuss. Just I've taught her how to speak properly, and she has strict orders as to her behavior. She's to keep to two subjects, the weather and everyone's health. A fine day and how do you do, you know, and not to let herself go on things in general. That will be safe.
Safe. To talk about our health. About our insides, perhaps about our outsides. Oh, how could you be so foolish, Henry?
Yes, you must talk about something. Oh, she'll be all right, Mother. Don't you fuss. Pickering is in it with me. You see, I was sort of bet on that I'll pass her off as a duchess in 6 months. I started on her some months ago, and she's been getting on like a house on fire. I shall win my bet. She has a quick ear, and she's been easier to teach than my middle-class pupils because she's had to learn a complete new language. She talks English almost as you talk French.
Well, that should be satisfactory at any event.
Well, it is and it isn't.
What do you mean?
You see, I've taught her how to speak properly, but it's not just how a girl pronounces, but what she pronounces that you have to consider, and that's where...
Mrs. and Miss Ainsford Hill.
Oh, Lord.
How do you do?
Oh, how do you do?
How do you do?
How do you do? My son, Henry.
Your celebrated son. I have so longed to meet you, Professor Higgins.
Delighted.
How do you do?
I've seen you somewhere before. I haven't the ghost of a notion where, but I've heard your voice. It doesn't matter. You'd better sit down.
I'm afraid my celebrated son has no manners. You mustn't mind him.
I don't.
Not at all.
Oh, have I been rude? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be.
Colonel Pickering.
How do you do, Mrs. Higgins?
Oh, very good of you to come. Do you know Mrs. Ainsford Hill? Miss Ainsford Hill?
Has Henry told you what we've come for?
We were interrupted, damn it.
Oh, Henry, please.
Are we in the way?
No, not at all. In fact, you've come most fortunately. We want you to meet a friend of ours.
Yes, by George. We want 2 or 3 people. You'll do as well as anybody else.
Mr. Ainsford Hill.
God in heaven, another one.
How do you do?
How do you do? Very good of you to come. Do you know Colonel Pickering?
How do you do?
And my son, Professor Higgins.
How do you do?
I'll take my oath I've seen you somewhere before. Where was it?
I don't think so.
It don't matter anyhow. Sit down. Well, here we all are anyhow. Now what the devil are we going to talk about until Eliza comes?
Henry, you are the life and soul of the Royal Society's soirees, but really you're rather trying on more commonplace occasions.
Am I? Very sorry. I suppose I am, you know.
I sympathize. I haven't any small talk. If only people would be frank and say what they really think.
Oh, Lord forbid.
But why?
What people think they ought to think is bad enough, but what they really think would break up the whole show. Do you suppose it would be really agreeable if I were to come out right now with what I really think?
Is it so very cynical?
Cynical? Who the Dickens said it was cynical? I mean, it wouldn't be decent.
I'm sure you don't mean that, Professor Higgins.
You see, we're all savages, more or less. We're supposed to be civilized and cultured and to know all about art and science, poetry and philosophy and all that. How many of us know even the meanings of these names? What do you know of poetry? What do you know of science? What does he know of art or science or anything else? What the devil do you imagine I know of philosophy?
Or of manners, Henry.
Miss Duell.
Here she is, Mother.
How do you do, Mrs. Higgins? Miss Higgins told me I might come.
Yes, indeed. So glad to meet you.
How do you do? Colonel
Pickering is an honor.
How do you do, Miss Doolittle?
I feel sure we've met before, Miss Doolittle. I remember your eyes.
How do you do?
My daughter Clara.
How do you do?
How do you do?
I've most certainly had the pleasure.
And my son Freddie.
How do you do?
Oh,
Yes, it all comes back to me. Covent Garden. Oh, what a damned thing.
Henry, please.
Sorry.
Will it rain, do you think?
The shallow depression in the west of these islands is most likely to move in an easterly direction. There is no indication of any great change, according to the barometrical situation.
how awfully funny.
And what was wrong with that, young man? I bet I got it right.
Oh, Kelly.
Well, I'm sure I hope it won't turn cold. There's so much influenza about. Runs right through our entire family, regularly, every spring.
My aunt died of influenza, so they said. But it's my belief they done the old woman in.
Done her in?
Yes! Lord love you. Why should she have to die of influenza when she come through diphtheria just enough the year before? I saw with my own eyes. Very blue that she was. They all thought she was dead. But my father, he kept dialing gin down her throat. Then when she come to so sudden, she bit the bowl off the spoon.
Dear me!
What kind of woman with that strength now have to die of influenza? What become of her straw hat that should have come to me? Someone pinched it. And what I say is, then Miss Pinched it done her in.
What does doing her in mean?
Oh, that's the new small talk. To do a person in means to kill them.
Oh,
Surely you don't believe your aunt was killed.
Do I not? The people she lived with would have killed her for a hat pin, let alone a hat.
But it can't have been right for your father to pour spirits down her throat like that. It might have killed her.
Not her. Gin was mother's milk to her. Besides, my father poured so much down his own throat that he knew the good of it.
Do you mean he drank?
Oh, drink my word, something crying.
Oh my dear, how dreadful for you.
Not really. It never did no harm for what I could see. Then he didn't do it regularly. On the burst, you might say. And it was very agreeable when he had a trumpet. When he was out of work, my mother used to give him 4pence and tell him to not come back until he drunk himself cheerful and loving-like. There's a lot of women who has to make their husbands drunk enough to be fit to live with. You see, it's like this. When a man's a bit of conscience, it always takes him when he's sober, it makes him more spirited. But add a drop of booze in, it lifts right off him and makes him happy. Yeah, what are you sniggering at?
oh, the new small talk. You do it so awfully well.
If I was doing it proper, what was you laughing at?
Oh,
Have I said anything an aunt?
Not at all, Miss Doolittle.
Well, that's relief anyhow. What I always say is... Oh, well, I must go. So nice I met you all. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Colonel Pickering.
Goodbye, Miss Doolittle.
Goodbye, all.
are you walking across the park, Miss Doolittle? If so...
Walk? Ha! Not bloody likely. I'm going in a taxi.
Well, I really can't get used to these new ways.
Oh, it's all right, Mama. Quite right. People who think we never go anywhere or see anybody if you're so old-fashioned.
Well, I dare say I am very old-fashioned. But I really hope you won't begin using that expression, Clara. I have become accustomed to hearing you talking about men as rotters and describing everything as filthy or beastly. This last is really too much. Don't you think so, Colonel?
Don't ask me. I've been away in India for several years, and matters have changed so much that I sometimes don't know whether I'm at a respectable dinner table or in a ship's forecastle.
It's all a matter of habit. There's no right or wrong in it. Nobody means anything by it. And it's so quaint and gives such smart emphasis to things which are not in themselves very witty. I find the new small talk delightful and quite innocent.
Well, after that, I think it's time for us to go.
Oh, yes, we have 3 at-homes to go still. Goodbye, Mrs. Higgins.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Colonel Pickering. Goodbye, Professor Higgins.
Goodbye. Try out the new small talk at those 3 at-homes. Don't be shy about it. Pitch it in strong.
I will. Goodbye. Such nonsense, all this early Victorian prudery.
Such damned nonsense.
Such bloody nonsense.
Clara!
Well, I ask you, goodbye.
Goodbye. Would you like to meet Miss Doolittle again?
Oh, I should. Most awfully.
Well, you know my day.
Yes, thanks awfully. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Professor Higgins.
Goodbye.
It's no use. I shall never be able to bring myself to use that word.
Oh, don't. It's not compulsory, you know. You'll get on quite well without it.
I mean, Clara is so down on me if I'm not positively reeking with the latest slang. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You mustn't mind Clara. We're so poor, you see, and she's had so few parties. Poor child. She just doesn't quite know. But the boy is quite nice, don't you think so?
Oh, quite nice. I shall always be delighted to see you.
Oh, thank you, dear. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, is Liza presentable?
Is Eliza presentable? Of course she's not presentable. Oh, she's a triumph of your art and of her dressmakers. But if you think for one moment that she doesn't give herself away with every sentence she utters, you must be perfectly correct about her.
But don't you think something might be done? I mean, something to eliminate this sanguinary element from a conversation.
Not as long as she is in Henry's hands.
Do you mean to say that my language is improper?
Oh, no, dearest, it's perfectly proper, say, on a canal barge. But it is not proper for her at a garden party.
Well, I must
Come,
say...
Higgins. You must learn to know yourself. I haven't heard such language as yours since I used to review the volunteers in Hyde Park 20 years ago.
Oh, well, if you say so, I suppose I don't always talk like a bishop.
Colonel Pickering, can you tell me, please, what is the exact state of things in Wimpole Street?
Oh, well, I have come to live there with Henry, and we work together at my Indian dialects, and we
yes,
think
I'm aware of all that, and it's an excellent arrangement. But what about the girl?
Oh, I think I know what you mean, Mrs. Higgins.
Oh, well, I'm dashed if I do. I've had to work at her every day for months to get her to her present pitch. Besides, she's useful. She knows where my things are and remembers what appointments I have and so forth.
And how does she get on with your housekeeper?
Mrs. Pierce? Oh, she's jolly glad to have so much taken off her hands, for before Eliza came along, she had to find my things and remind me of my appointments. But she has some silly bee in her bonnet about the girl. She's always saying, "You don't think so," doesn't she, Peg?
Yes, that's the formula. You don't think, sir? That's the end of every conversation about Eliza.
As if I ever stopped thinking about the girl. I'm worn out thinking about Eliza and her confounded vowels and consonants, and watching her lips and her teeth and her tongue. Not to mention her soul, which is the quaintest of the lot.
You two are quite a pair of babies playing with your live doll.
Playing? The hardest job I ever tackled. Make no mistake about that, Mother. But you've no idea how frightfully interesting it is to take a human being and to change her into a complete different human being by inventing a new speech for her. It's filling in the deepest gulf that separates class from class and soul from soul.
Yes, it's enormously interesting, I assure you, my dear Mrs. Higgins. We take Eliza very seriously. Every week, every day almost, there is some new change. We keep records of every stage. Dozens of gramophone discs and photographs.
The most interesting experiment I ever tackled. She regularly fills up our lives, doesn't she, Peg?
Yes, we're always talking Eliza.
Teaching Eliza.
Dressing Eliza.
What? Inventing new Elizas. You know,
I
she really
assure
has
you,
the
my
most
dear
extraordinary
Mrs. Higgins,
quickness
that
of
girl
ear,
is
just
a
like
genius.
parrot.
We have taken
I
her
tried
to classical
out on
concerts
every
and
sort
music
of
halls,
sound a
and
human
she
being
plays
can
everything
possibly
right off
make.
she hears when she
Continental
gets home.
dialects,
Whether it's
African
Beethoven
dialects.
and
Enough!
Brahms. I beg your pardon.
Sorry. Whenever Pickering starts shouting, nobody can get a word in edgeways.
Be quiet, Henry. Colonel Pickering, don't you realize that when Eliza walked into Wimpole Street, something else walked in with her?
Yes, her father did, but Henry soon got rid of him.
It would have been more to the point if her mother had walked in, but as she didn't, something else did.
But what?
A problem.
Oh, I see the problem of how to pass her off as a lady.
I'll solve that problem. I've half solved it already.
No, you two infinitely stupid male creatures. The problem of what is to be done with her afterwards.
I don't see anything in that. She can go her own way with all the advantages I've given her.
Oh, all the advantages of that poor woman who was here today. The manners and habits that preclude a fine lady from earning her own living while keeping her from having a lady's income. Is that what you mean?
Well, that would be all right, Mrs. Higgins.
We'll find her some light employment.
She's happy enough.
Anyhow, there's no use bothering about it now. The thing's done. Goodbye, Mother.
There are plenty of openings. We'll do what's right.
Let's take it to the Shakespeare exhibition in Earl's Court.
Yes, let her. Remarks will be delicious.
She'll mimic all the people for us when we get out.
Ripping!
Oh, men! Men! Men!
I say, Pick, lock up with you. I shan't be going out again.
Right. Can Mrs. Pierce go to bed? We don't want anything more, do we?
Oh, Lord, now.
I say, Mrs. Pierce will row if we leave these things lying about in the drawing room.
Oh, chuck them over the banisters into the hallway. She'll find them there in the morning and put them away all right. She'll think we were drunk.
We are slightly. Are there any letters?
I didn't look. I wonder where the devil my slippers are.
Only, circulars in this coroneted billet for you.
Moneylender. Oh, Lord. What an evening. What a crew. What a silly tomfoolery.
Well,
Oh, they're there, are they?
no, but I feel a bit tired. It's been a long day. Garden party, a dinner party, and the opera. Rather too much of a good thing, but you've won your you've won your bet, Higgins. Eliza did the trick and something to spare, eh?
Oh, thank God it's over.
Well, were you nervous at the garden party? I was. Eliza didn't seem a bit nervous.
Oh, she wasn't nervous. I knew she'd be all right. Now it's the strain of putting the whole thing through all these months that has told on me. It was interesting enough at first while we were at the phonetics, but after that I got deadly sick of it. If I hadn't backed myself to do it, I should have chucked the whole thing up 2 months ago.
Oh,
It
come.
was a silly notion. The whole thing has been a bore.
The garden party was frightfully exciting. My heart began beating like anything.
Yes, for the first 3 minutes. But after that, I felt like a bear in a cage, hanging about, doing nothing. The dinner party was even worse. Sitting gorging there for over an hour with nobody but a damned fool of a fashionable woman to talk to. Now, Pickering, never again for me. No more artificial duchesses. The whole thing's been simple purgatory.
You've never been broken in properly to the social routine. I rather enjoy dipping into it myself occasionally. It makes me feel young again. Still, it was a great success, an immense success. I was quite frightened once or twice because Eliza was doing it so well. You see, lots of the real people can't do it at all. They're such fools that they think that style comes by nature to people in their position, and so they never learn. There's always something professional about doing a thing superlatively well.
Yes, that's what drives me mad. The silly people don't know their own silly business. However, it's over and done with. And now I can go to bed at last without dreading tomorrow.
I think I shall turn in too. Still, it's been a great triumph. Good night.
Good night. Put out the lights, Eliza, and tell Mrs. Pierce not to make coffee in the morning. I'll take tea. What the devil have I done with my slippers?
Here are your slippers. There. And there. Take your slippers and may you not have a day's luck with them.
What on earth? What's the matter? Get up. Is anything wrong?
No, nothing wrong with you. I won your bet for you, haven't I? That's all. I don't matter, I suppose.
You won my bet. You? Presumptuous insect, I won my bet. What did you throw those slippers at me for?
Because I wanted to smash your face. I could kill you, you selfish brute. Why didn't you leave me where you found me in the gutter? You think, God, it's all over. And now you think you just throw me back in there, do you?
Creature is nervous after all. What? Would you? Claws in you, cat. How dare you show your temper to me? Sit down and be quiet.
What's to become of me? What's to become of me?
How do I know what's to become of you? What does it matter what's to become of you?
You don't care. I know you don't care. You wouldn't care if I was dead. I'm nothing to you. Not so much as dead slippers.
Those slippers.
Those slippers. I didn't think it made any difference, no.
Why have you begun going on like this? May I ask whether you complain of your treatment here?
No.
Has anyone behaved badly toward you? Colonel Pickering? Mrs. Pierce? Any of the servants?
No.
I presume you don't pretend that I have treated you badly.
No.
I am glad to hear it. Perhaps you're tired after the strain of the day. Will you have a glass of champagne?
No! Thank you.
This has been coming on for some days. I suppose it was natural for you to be nervous about the garden party, but that's all over now. There's nothing more to worry about.
No, nothing more for you to worry about. Oh, God, I wish I was dead.
But why? In heaven's name, why? Listen to me, Eliza. All this irritation is purely subjective.
I don't understand. I'm too ignorant.
It's only imagination. Those spirits, nothing else. Nobody's hurting you. Nothing's wrong. Now, you be a good girl and go to bed. Have a little cry and say your prayers. That will make you comfortable.
Ugh! I've heard your prayers. Thank God it's all over.
Well, don't you? Thank God it's all over. Now you're free and can do what you like.
What am I fit for? What have you left me fit for? Where am I to go? What am I to do? What's to become of me?
Oh, that's what's bothering you, is it? I shouldn't worry about that if I were you. I should imagine you won't have much trouble in settling yourself someplace or other, though I hadn't quite realized you were going away. You might marry, you know. You see, Eliza, not all men are confirmed bachelors like the Colonel and myself. Most men are the marrying sort, poor devils. And you're not bad looking. You're quite a pleasure to look at sometimes. Not now, of course, because you're crying and look as ugly as the very devil. But when you're yourself and quite all right. You're what I should call attractive. That is, to the men in the marrying line, you understand. You get a good night's rest and then look at yourself in the glass and you won't feel so cheap. I dare say my mother could find some chap or other who would do quite well.
We were above that the corner of Toncoat Road.
What do you mean?
I sell flowers. I didn't sell myself. Now they made a lady of me. I'm not fit to sell anything else. I wish you left me where you found me.
Tosh, Eliza. Don't you insult human relations by dragging all this cant about buying and selling into it. You needn't marry the fellow if you don't like him.
What else am I to do?
Oh, lots of things. What about your old idea of a flower shop? Pickering could set you up. He's loads of money. He'll have to pay for all those togs you've been wearing, and that, as with the hire of the jewelry, will make a big hole in £200. 6 months ago, you'd have thought it the millennium to have a flower shop of your own. Come, you'll be all right. I must off to bed. I'm devilish sleepy. By the way, I came down for something. I forgot what it was.
Your slippers.
Oh, yes, of course. You slide them at me.
Before you go, sir,
Eh?
do my clothes belong to me or to Colonel Pickering?
What the devil use would they be to Pickering?
He might want them for the next girl he decides to experiment on.
Is that what you think of us?
I don't want to hear any more about it. I just want to know what belongs to me. My own clothes were burnt.
But why stop bothering about that now? Why need you start going on like this in the middle of the night?
I want to know what I may take away with me. I don't want to be accused of stealing.
Stealing? You shouldn't have said that, Eliza. That shows a want of feeling.
I'm sorry. I'm only a common ignorant girl. And in my station, I have to be careful. There can't be any feelings between the likes of you and the likes of me. So will you please just tell me what belongs to me and what doesn't?
You may take the whole damn house full if you like. Except the jewels I hide. Does that satisfy you?
Will you please take these to your room and keep them safe? I don't want to run the risk of them going missing.
Hand them over.
Don't need these. Don't need this. Don't need this either. And I especially, absolutely don't need this.
These belongs to me instead of to the jeweler. I'd ram them down your ungrateful throat.
This ring does belong to the jewelers. It's the one you bought me in Brighton. I don't want it now. Do you hit me?
Hit you? You infamous creature! How dare you accuse me of such a thing? It is you who have hit me. You have wounded me in the heart.
I'm glad I've got a bed of my own back anyhow.
You have caused me to lose my temper, a thing that has hardly ever happened to me before. I prefer to say no more tonight. I am going to bed.
You better leave a note, Mrs. Stace, about the coffee, but won't be told to her by me.
Damn the coffee, and damn Mrs. Pierce, and damn you, and damn my own folly for lavishing my unearned knowledge and the treasure of my regard and intimacy on a heartless gutter snipe.
Mr. Henry, ma'am, is downstairs with Colonel Pickering.
We'll send them up.
They're using the telephone, ma'am. Telephoning to the police, I think.
What?
Mr. Henry's in a state, ma'am. I thought I'd better tell you.
If you had told me that Mr. Henry was not in a state, I should have been more surprised. Well, send them up when they're finished with the police. I suppose he's lost something.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, and go upstairs and tell Miss Doolittle that Mr. Henry and the Colonel are here and not to come down until I send for her.
Yes, ma'am.
Look here, Mother. Here's a confounded thing.
Yes, dear. Good morning. What is it? Sit down.
Eliza's bolted.
Well, you must have frightened her.
Frightened her? Nonsense. She was left last night to turn out the lights and so on, and instead of going to bed, she went right off. Her bed wasn't even slept in. She came in a cab for things before 7 this morning, and that damned fool, Mrs. Pierce, let her have them without telling me a word about it. What am I to do?
Well, do without, I'm afraid, Henry. The girl has a perfect right to leave if she chooses.
Oh, but I can't find anything.
Good
I
morning, Mrs. Higgins. Has Henry told you?
Oh, what does that awesome inspector say? Have you offered a reward?
You don't mean to say you've called the police on Eliza?
Of course we did. What are the police for? What else could we do?
The inspector made a lot of difficulties. I really think he suspected us of some improper purpose.
Well, of course he did. What right have you to go to the police and give Eliza's name as if she were a thief or a lost umbrella or something? Really?
But we want to find her.
Can't let her go like this. You know, Mrs. Higgins. What were we to do?
You two have no sense between you. None more sense than a pair of children. Why, I can't imagine what you would...
Mr. Henry, a gentleman wants to see you very particular. He's been sent on from Wimple Street.
Oh, bother. I can't see anyone now. Who is it?
Mr. Doolittle, sir.
Doolittle? Do you mean the dustman?
Dustman? Oh, no, sir. A gentleman.
By George, Pick. It's some relative of hers that she's gone to stay with. Somebody we know nothing about. Send him up, quick.
Yes, sir.
Genteel relatives. Now we shall hear something.
Do you know any of her people?
Only her father, the fellow we told you about.
Mr. Doolittle.
Lost it. It is Alfred.
Do you see this? See this here? You've done this.
Done what, man?
This! This, I say. Look at this hat. Look at this coat.
Has Eliza been buying you clothes?
Eliza buy me clothes? No, not buy her. Why would she buy me clothes?
Good morning, Mr. Doolittle. Won't you sit down?
Asking your pardon, Mum. Thank you. I am that full with what's happened to me that I can't think of anything else.
What the dickens has happened to you?
If it had only happened to me, I shouldn't mind so much. You know, anything might happen to anybody, and nobody to blame but Providence, as you might say. But this is something that you've done to me. Yes, you, Henry Higgins.
Have you found Eliza? That's the point.
Have you lost her?
Yes.
You have all the luck you have. She'll be on my doorstep soon enough after what you've done to me.
But what has my son done to you, Mr. Doolittle?
Done to me? Destroyed me? Ruined me? Tied me up and delivered me into the hands of middle-class morality?
You're raving. You're drunk. You're mad. I gave you £5, and after that I had 2 conversations with you at £0.5 an hour. I haven't seen you since.
Oh, drunk am I? Mad am I? Tell me this. Did you or did you not write a letter to that blight in America, the one that was giving £5 million to form moral societies all around the world? Same one that wanted you to develop a universal language for it.
What? Ezra D. Wannafellow. But he's dead.
Yes, he's dead, and I'm done for. Now, did you or did you not write him a letter saying that the most original moralist at present in England, to the best of your knowledge, was one Alfred Doolittle, a common dustman?
No. After our last conversation, I remember making some silly joke or other of the kind.
Oh, you may well call it a silly joke. put the lid on me all right. Gave him just the excuse he was looking for to prove that Americans is not like us, that they recognize and respect merit in every social class, no matter how rural or humble. Them words is in his bloomin' will, in which he leaves me, Henry Higgins, thanks to our silly joking, a share of his pre-digested cheese crust worth $3,000 a year, on the condition that I lecture for his Wanderfeller Moral Reform World League as often as asked up to 6 times a year.
The devil he does. What a lark.
A safe thing for you, Doolittle. They won't ask you twice.
It ain't the lecturing I mind. I'll lecture them till I'm blue in the face and not turning an air, I will. It's the making a gentleman of me that I object to. Who else in to make a gentleman of me? I was happy, I was free. I touched nigh on everybody for money when I wanted. Somebody said I touched you, Henry Higgins. Now, I am worried, bound neck and heels, and everyone touches me for money. It's a fine thing for you, says my solicitor. Is it, I says. Is it? You mean it's a good thing for you, I says. When I was a poor man, I had a solicitor once. When they found a pram in the dust cart. Anyway, he got me off, and then he got shut at me, and he got me shut in, quick as he could. The same thing at the hospital. The doctors would shove me out the hospital before I could hardly stand on my own 2 legs, and nothing left to pay. Now, they find out I'm not an healthy man, and I can't live unless they look after me twice a day. And the ass, not allowed to do a hand's turn for myself. Somebody else has got to do it and touch me for it. A year ago, I had a relative in the world except 2 or 3, and they wouldn't talk to me. Now, I'm 50. Not a decent week's wages among the lot of them. I have to live for others, and not for myself. That's middle-class morality. You talk of losing Eliza. Well, don't you be anxious. She'll find me soon enough after what you've done to me. She that could make a living easy, just off of selling flowers if I wasn't respectable. And the next one to touch me will be you, Henry Higgins. I'll have to learn how to speak middle-class language from you instead of proper English. That's where you come in, and I dare say that's what you've done it for.
But my dear Mr. Doolittle, you need not suffer all this if you're really in earnest. No one can force you to accept the bequest. You can repudiate it. Isn't that right, Colonel Pickering?
I believe so.
That's the tragedy of it, Mom. It's easy to say chuck it, but I haven't the nerve. Which one of us has? We're intimidated, all of us, intimidated. If I say chuck it, what's there between me and the workhouse in the old age? I have to die in the air as it is to keep my job as a dustman. If I was deserving poor and set a bit aside, I could chuck it. But then again, deserving poor might as well be millionaires for all the happiness they ever know. They don't know what happiness is. Now, the only thing between me and the pauper's uniform is this there blasted $3,000 a year that shoves me into the middle class. Excuse the expression, Mom. You'd use it yourself if you had new provocation. Now, they've got you every way you turn. It's the skilly of the workhouse or the sharp-eyedest of the middle class. Intimidated, that's where I am. Broke, bought up. Happier men than me will call for me dust and touch me for the tip, and I will look on helpless and envy them. And that's what your son has brought me to.
Well, I'm glad you're not going to do anything foolish, Mr. Doolittle, for this solves the problem of Eliza's future. You can provide for her now.
Expected to provide for everybody now at $3,000 a year.
Nonsense! He can't provide for her. He shan't provide for her. She doesn't belong to him. I paid him £5 for her. Doolittle, you're either an honest man or a rogue.
A little both, Henry. A little both. Like the rest of us.
Well, you took that money for the girl, and you've no right to take her as well.
Oh, Henry, don't be absurd. If you really want to know where Eliza is, she is upstairs.
Upstairs? Then I shall jolly soon fetch her downstairs.
Oh, be quiet, Henry, and sit down.
But I...
Sit down and listen to me.
Oh, very well, very well, very well.
Eliza came to me this morning. She has passed the night partly in a rage, partly trying to drown herself in the river, but lacking the nerve, and partly in the Carlton Hotel. She told me of the brutal way you two had treated her.
What?
My dear Mrs. Higgins, that girl has been telling you stories. We didn't treat her brutally. We hardly spoke to her at all. And we parted on particularly good terms. Higgins, did you bully her after I went to bed?
Just the other way about. She threw her slippers in my face. I never gave her the slightest provocation. The slippers came bang into my face the moment I entered the room, before I had even uttered a word, and used perfectly awful language.
But why? What did we do to her?
Oh, I think I know pretty much what you did. The girl is rather affectionate, is she not, Mr. Doolittle?
Very tender-hearted, Mom. Takes after me.
She had become attached to you. She had worked hard for you, Henry. I don't think you understand what something in the nature of brain work means to a girl like that. Well, here came the day of trial, and she did this wonderful thing for you, without making a single mistake. And what did you do? Did you say a word to her? No, you two sat there and talked about how bored you had been with the whole thing and how glad you were that it was all over. And you wondered that she threw the slippers at you? I should have thrown the fire irons at you.
We said nothing except that we were tired and wanted to go to bed. Did we, Pig?
That was all.
Are you sure?
Absolutely, really, that was all.
You didn't praise her or pet her or admire her or tell her how splendid she'd been.
But she knew all about that. Make speeches to her, if that's what you mean.
Perhaps we were a little inconsiderate. Is she very angry?
Well, she will not be coming back to Wimpole Street, particularly since her father can now provide for her in the manner on which you have thrust her. But she is willing to meet you on friendly terms and let bygones be bygones.
Is she, by George? How?
If you promise to behave yourself, Henry, I shall send for her. Otherwise, please go home, for you have taken up quite enough of my time.
Oh, all right. Very well. Pick. Behave yourself. Let us put on our best Sunday manners for this creature that we picked out of the mud.
Easy now, Henry. Have some consideration for my feelings as a middle-class man.
Remember your promise, Henry. Mr. Doolittle, would you mind stepping out onto the balcony for a moment? I don't want Eliza to have the shock of your news until she has made it up with these gentlemen. Would you mind?
As you wish, Mum. Anything to help Henry keep her off my hands.
Ask Miss Doolittle to come down, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Now behave yourself, Henry.
I am behaving myself perfectly.
He is doing his best, Mrs. Higgins.
Henry, you don't look at all nice in that attitude.
I was not trying to look nice, Mother.
Well, never mind. At least I got you to speak.
Why?
Because you can't speak and whistle at the same time.
Where the devil is that girl? Are we to wait here all day?
How do you do, Professor Higgins? Are you quite well?
Am I?
But of course you are. You are never ill. So nice to see you again, Colonel Pickering.
How do you do, Miss Doolittle?
Quite chilly today, isn't it?
Don't you dare try this game with me. I taught it to you, and it doesn't take me in. Now get up and come home, and don't be a fool.
That's very nicely put, Henry. No woman could resist such an invitation.
You let her alone, Mother. You let her speak for herself. You shall jolly soon see whether she has an idea I haven't put into her head or a word I haven't put into her mouth. I tell you, I created this thing out of the squashed cabbage leaves of Covent Garden, and now she pretends to play the fine lady with me.
Yes, dear, but you will sit down, won't you?
You two not together now the experiment is done, Colonel Pickering?
Oh, don't. You mustn't think of it as an experiment. It shocks me somehow.
Oh, but I'm only a squashed cabbage leaf.
No!
But you've done so much for me that I should be very unhappy if you forgot me. It wasn't because you paid for my dresses. I know you're very generous to everybody with money, but it was from you that I learned really nice manners. And what makes one a lady, after all?
Well, this is really very kind of you, Miss Doolittle.
You see,
It was so very difficult for me with the example of Professor Higgins always before me. I was brought to be just like him, unable to control myself, and using bad language on the slightest provocation. That I shall never have known that ladies and gentlemen didn't behave like that if you hadn't been there.
Well, that's only his way, you know. He doesn't mean it.
Oh, I didn't mean either when I was a flower girl. But you see, I did it. And that's what makes a difference after all. And I know he taught me to speak, and you couldn't have done that. It was his profession after all.
Damnation.
It was like learning to dance in a fashionable way. There's nothing more to it than that. But you know what began my real education?
What?
You called me Miss Doolittle the first time I came to Wimpole Street. That was the beginning of self-respect for me. And there are hundreds of other little things you did you never noticed because they came naturally to you. Things like standing up and taking off your hat and opening doors.
That was nothing.
Yes, things that show you thought and felt as I was something better than a scullery maid. Although, I know you have acted the same to a scullery maid if she had been let into the drawing room. You never took off your boots in the dining room when I was there.
Oh, you mustn't mind that. Higgins takes off his boots all over the place.
I know, I'm not blaming him. It's his way, isn't it? But it meant so much to me that you didn't do it. You see, apart from what anyone can pick up, the dressing and the way of speaking and so on, the difference between a lady and a flower girl is not how she behaves, but how she is treated. I shall always be a flower girl to Professor Higgins, because he always treats me as a flower girl and always will. But I know I could be a lady too, because you always treat me like a lady and always will.
Please don't grind your teeth, Henry.
This is really very nice of you, Miss Doolittle.
I should like you to call me Eliza now, if you would.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes, Eliza, of course.
And I should like Professor Higgins to call me Miss Doolittle.
I'll see you damned first.
Henry! Henry!
Why don't you slang back at him? Don't stand it. It would do him a lot of good.
I can't. I could have done it once, but now I can't go back to it. Last time I was wandering about, a girl spoke to me, and I tried to get back into a grave with her, but I couldn't do it. You told me, you know, that when a child comes into a foreign country and learns a language in a few weeks, it forgets its own. Well, I am a child in your country. I've forgotten my own language and could speak nothing but yours. And that's the real break-off of leaving Tom Court Road. Leaving Wimpole Street finishes it.
But you're coming back to Wimpole Street, aren't you? You'll forgive Higgins.
Forgive? Will she, by George? Let her go. Let her find out how she can get on without us. She will relapse into the gutter in 3 weeks without me at her elbow.
He's incorrigible, Eliza. You won't relapse, will you?
No, not now. Never again. I've learnt my lesson. I don't think I can utter one build sounds if I tried.
Ah! Aha! Just so. Oh! Oh! Victory! Victory!
Well, can you blame the poor girl? Don't look at me like that, Eliza. Maybe fault. I'm coming to some money.
You must have touched a millionaire this time, Dad.
I have, but I'm dressed something special today. Going to St. George's Hanover Square. Well, stepmother's going to marry me.
You really let yourself down to marry that low-common woman?
He ought to, Eliza. Why has she changed her mind?
Intimidated, Governor. Intimidated. Middle-class morality claims its victim. What'd you put on your hat, Eliza? Come see me turned off?
If the Colonel says I must, then I'll demean myself and get insulted for my pains like enough.
Hey, don't you be afraid. She hardly comes to words with anyone anymore. Being respectable's broken all the spirit out of her.
Be kind to them, Eliza. Make the best of it.
Well, just to show there's no ill feeling, I'll be back in a moment.
I feel uncommon nervous about the ceremony, Colonel. Won't you come and see me through?
You've been through it before, man. You were married to Eliza's mother.
Who told you that, Colonel?
Well, nobody told me, but I concluded naturally.
That ain't the natural way, Colonel. That's only the middle-class way. My way's always been the undeserving way, but don't tell Eliza. She don't know. I've had a certain delicacy about telling her.
Yeah, quite right. We'll leave it so, if you don't mind.
But you'll come and see me put through straight?
Yes, with pleasure, as far as a bachelor can.
May I come, Mr. Doolittle? I would certainly hate to miss your wedding.
I should indeed be honored by your condescension, Mom. The old lady should view it as a tremendous compliment. She's been very low-spirited lately, thinking of the happy days were no more.
Well, I'll order the carriage and get ready. I shan't be 15 minutes. Oh, Eliza, I'm going to the church to see your father married. You should come in the brougham with me. The colonel can go on with the bridegroom.
Bridegroom. What a word. It makes you realize your position somehow.
Before I go, Eliza, do forgive him and come back to us.
I don't think Papa would allow me, would you, Dad?
They played you off very cunning, these two sportsmen. Now, if there'd been only one of them, you could have nailed him, but there was two of them, see? So one sort of chaperoned the other, as it was. But it's very awful of you, Colonel. I won't bear you no malice. Should have done the same if I was you. I've been the victim of one woman after another my whole life. So, I won't grudge you getting the better of Liza. Time to go, Colonel. So long, Henry.
Do stay with us, Eliza.
Well, Eliza, you've had a bit of your own back, as you call it. Have you had enough? And are you going to be reasonable? Or do you want any more?
You only want me back so I can find your slippers and find your spectacles, fetch a chair for you, and put up with your tempers.
I haven't said that I wanted you back at all.
Oh, indeed. Then what are we talking about?
About you, not about me. If you come back, I shall treat you just as I have always treated you. I can't change my nature, and I don't intend to change my manners. My manners are exactly the same as Colonel Pickering's.
That's not true. He treats a flower girl as she was a duchess.
And I treat a duchess as if she was a flower girl.
I see. The same to everybody.
Just so.
Like father.
Without accepting the comparison at all points, Eliza, it is quite true that your father is not a snob, and that he will be quite at home in whatever station in life to which his eccentric destiny may call him. The great secret, Eliza, is not having bad manners or good manners or any particular sort of manners, but in having the same manner for each human soul. In short, behaving as if you were in heaven, where there are no third-class cabs and one soul is as good as another.
Amen. You are a born preacher.
The question, Eliza, is not whether I treat you rudely, but whether you ever heard me treat anyone else better.
I don't care how you treat me. I don't mind you swearing at me. I don't mind a black eye. I've had one before this. But I will not be passed over.
And get out of my way, for I won't stop for you. You talk about me as if I were a motor bus.
So you are a motor bus, all bound to go, no consideration for anyone. But I could do without you. Don't think I can't.
I know you can. I told you you could.
I know you did, you brute. You want to get rid of me.
Liar.
Thank you.
You never asked yourself, I suppose, whether I could do without you.
Don't you try to get around me. You'll have to do without me.
I can do without anybody. I have my own soul, my own spark of divine fire. But I shall miss you, Eliza. I have learned something from your idiotic notions. I confess that humbly and gratefully. And I've grown accustomed to your voice and appearance. I like them, rather.
Well, you have both of them in your stack of photographs and on your gramophone. You'll feel lonely without me. You can turn the machine on just as much as you like. It's got no feelings to hurt.
But I can't turn your soul on. Leave me those feelings, and you can take away the face and the voice. They are not you.
Oh, you are a devil. You can twist the heart of a girl as easy as someone could twist her arms to hurt her. Mrs. Pierce warned me. Time and time again she wanted to leave you, but you always got around her at the last minute. Well, you don't care a bit for her, and you don't care a bit for me.
I care for life, for humanity, and you're a part of it that has come my way and been built into my house. What more can you or anyone else ask?
I won't care for anybody that doesn't care for me.
Commercial principles, like selling voilets, isn't it?
Don't sneer at me. It's mean to sneer at me.
I have never sneered in my life. Sneering does not become either the human face or the human soul. I am expressing my righteous contempt for commercialism. You call me a brute because you couldn't buy a claim on me by fetching my slippers and finding my spectacles. You are a fool. I think a woman fetching a man's slippers is a disgusting sight. Did I ever fetch your slippers? I think a great deal more of you for throwing them in my face. Now you slaving for me and then saying you want to be cared for. Who cares for a slave? If you are to come back for the sake of good fellowship, for that's all you'll get. You've had 1,000 times as much out of me as I have out of you. And if you dare set up your little dog's tricks of fetching and carrying slippers against my creation of a Duchess Eliza, I'll slam the door in your silly face.
What did you do it for if you didn't care for me?
Why, because it was my job.
And you didn't think of the trouble it'd make for me.
Would the world ever have been made if its maker had been afraid of creating a little trouble?
Oh!
Making life means making trouble. There's only one way of escaping trouble, and that's killing things. Cowards, you notice, are always shrieking to have troublesome people killed.
I'm no preacher. I don't notice things like that. I notice that you don't notice me.
Eliza, you're an idiot. Once for all, I waste the treasures of my Miltonic mind by spreading them before you. Understand that I go my way and do my work without caring tuppence what happens to either of us. I am not intimidated like your father and stepmother, so you can come home or go to the devil, which you please.
What am I to come back for?
Why, for the fun of it. That's why I took you on.
And you may throw me out tomorrow if I don't do everything you want me to do?
Yes. And you may walk out tomorrow if I don't do everything you want me to.
And live with my stepmother?
Yes, or sell flowers.
Oh! Well, I could go back to my flower basket. I should be independent from you and father and all the world. Why did you take my independence from me? Why did I give it up? I'm a slave now for all my fine clothes.
Not a bit. I'll settle money on you and adopt you as my daughter if you like. Or would you rather marry Pickering?
I wouldn't marry you if you asked me, and you're nearer my age than what he is.
Than he is, not than what he is.
I'll talk as I like. You're not my teacher now.
I don't suppose Pickering would, though. He's as confirmed a bachelor as I am.
That's not the sort of thing I want. Don't you think it? I have plenty of chaps wanting me that way. Freddie Hill writes to me 2 or 3 times a day. Sheets and sheets.
Damn his impudence.
He has a right to if he likes, poor lad. And he does love me.
You have no right to encourage him.
Every girl has a right to be loved.
What, by fools like that?
Freddie's not a fool. And if he's weak and poor and wants me, maybe make me happier than my betters who bully me and don't want me.
Can he make anything of you? That's the point.
Perhaps I can make something of him. Though I never imagined us making anything out of each other, and you never think of anything else. I only want to be natural.
In short, you want me to be as infatuated about you as Freddie. Is that it?
No, I don't. That's not the sort of thing I want from you. And don't you be too sure of yourself or me. I could have been a bad girl if I liked. I've seen more things than you have for all your learning. Girls like me can drag German down and make love to them easy enough, and they wish each other dead the next minute.
Of course they do. And what in thunder are we quarreling about?
I want a little kindness. I know I'm a common, ignorant girl, and you a book-learned gentleman, but I'm not dirt under your feet. What I did was not for the dresses and the taxis. I did it because we were pleasant together, and I've came to care for you. Not wanting you to make love to me or forgetting the difference between us, but more friendly-like.
Of course. That's just how I feel, and how Pickering feels. Eliza, you're a fool.
That's not the proper answer to give me.
That's all you'll get until you stop being a common idiot. If you're to be a lady, you'll have to give up feeling neglected if the men you know don't spend half their time sniveling over you and the other half giving you black eyes. If you can't take the coldness of my sort of life and the strain of it, go back to the gutter. Work till you're more a brute than a human being, then cuddle and squabble and drink till you fall asleep. Oh, it's a fine life, the life of the gutter. It's real. It's warm. It's violent. You can feel it through the thickest skin. You can taste it and smell it without any training or any work. Not like science or literature or classical music or philosophy or art. You think me cold, uncaring, selfish, do you? Very well then, be off with you to the sort of people you like. Marry some sentimental org or other with lots of money and a thick pair of lips to kiss you with and a thick pair of boots to kiss you with. If you can't appreciate what you've got, you'd better get what you can appreciate.
Oh, you are a cruel tyrant. I can't talk to you. You always have everything against me. I'm always in the wrong. But you know very well all the time you're nothing but a bully. You know I can't go back to the gutter, as you call it, and then I have no friends in the world other than you and the colonel. You know I can't bear to the low common man after you two. And it's wicked and cruel of you to insult me by pretending I could. You think I must go back to Wimpole Street because I have nowhere else to go other than father's. But don't you be too sure you have me under your feet to be trampled on and talked down to. I'll marry Freddie, I will, as soon as he will support me.
Rubbish. Not a bit. You shall marry an ambassador. You shall marry the Governor General of India, or the Lord Lieutenant of Ireland, or somebody who wants a deputy queen. I'm not going to have my masterpiece thrown away on Freddie.
You think I like to hear you say that? That I hadn't got one you said a minute ago. And I won't be coaxed around if I was a baby or a puppy. If that kind of kindness, I'll have independence.
Independence? That's middle-class blasphemy. We're all of us dependent on one another, every cell of us on earth.
I'll let you see whether I'm dependent on you. If you can preach, I can teach. I'll go and be a teacher.
What will you teach, in heaven's name?
Well, you taught me. I'll teach phonetics.
Ha!
I'll offer myself as an assistant to Professor Nippon.
What? That impostor? That humbug? Teach him my methods, my discoveries. You take one step in his direction and I'll wring your neck, do you hear?
Wring away! What do I care? Now I know how to deal with you. What a fool I was not to think of it before. You know you can't take back what you taught me. You said I had finer ear than you, and I can be civil and kind to people, which is more than you can. Oh, that's done you, Henry Higgins, it has. Now, I don't care for your bullying and your big talk. I'll advertise it in the papers that your duchess is only a flower girl that you taught for 6 months, and that she'll teach anybody to be a duchess in the same 6 months for 1,000 guineas. Oh, when I think of myself caught on your feet and being troubled on and talked down to, when I only just had to lift a finger to be as good as you, oh, I could just kick myself.
You damned impudent slut, you. It's better than sniveling. Better than fetching slippers and finding spectacles, isn't it? By George, Eliza. I said I'd make a woman of you, and I have. I like you this way.
Yes, you turn around and make up to me now that I'm not afraid of you and can do without you.
Of course I do, you silly fool. 5 minutes ago you were like a millstone around my neck. Now you're a tower of strength, a consort battleship. You and I and Pickering will be 3 old bachelors together, instead of 2 old men and a silly gal.
The carriage is ready, Eliza. Are you ready?
Quite. Is the professor coming?
Certainly not. He can't behave himself in church. He makes remarks out loud all the time on the clergyman's pronunciation.
I see. Then I shall not see you again, Professor Higgins. Goodbye.
Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye, Mother. Oh, Eliza, order a ham and Stilton cheese, will you? And buy me a pair of reindeer gloves, number 8s, and a tie to match that new suit of mine. You may choose the color.
Buy them yourself.
I'm afraid you've spoiled that girl, Henry, but never mind. I'll get you the tie and gloves. Goodbye.
Oh, don't bother about it. She'll buy him all right enough. Goodbye, Mother.